Boy, it's glad to be coming back home again. We've had 6 road games straight, stretching back before Christmas, so it's been a while since we've been back in Halton Arena, and it's exciting to be back. Coming off our last road trip, it's one where I'm glad that in the state that we're in that we're disappointed with a split on the road. And a lot of times teams that are fighting and competing will be satisfied to get a split on the road, but our team's disappointed with a split on the road, so I'm happy about that because that's not where we want to be. We want to try to go on the road and win 2 and get some chances to move up in the standings, and we felt like we had opportunity to do that. Winning at North Texas and then not playing as well against Rice a couple days later was a letdown for us. So I'm glad we're that way, and they've approached practice upon the return, with the same vigor, and almost a little bit ticked off that we let ourselves down this weekend, knowing that as we continue to play. Now we're back at home against 2 very good basketball teams this week. They're going to have to step up our game. We're going to have to do a great job defending. Both are really good offensive teams. We're going to do a good job rebounding the basketball, and it's going to take a total team effort. But we're starting to take strides. I really like where we are. I don't like this team. I love this team. It's a great group of kids. I'm having a lot of fun with them. Our staff is very cohesive. They enjoy each other on the road. Our pregame meals, our times together away from basketball are fantastic. And we're going to try to extend this thing and stretch it out as far as we can. But they're really growing and learning to play together and learning to get used to each other. And once we get everybody playing well on a given night, have a chance to beat anybody in this league. I do. I think it was, not to discredit Rice because they did what they had to do to win the basketball game. But, it's a, 2-point ball game that we're ahead at times. There's a 2-point ball game with a couple minutes left, and this is on the heels of going 2 for 10. Shooting 8% from the 3-point line and turning the ball over 19 times, and so many things that we did to hurt ourselves. You look back on that as a coach, and you put a lot of the blame on yourself and the onus on you for non-performance as opposed to giving the credit to the other team sometimes. But Rice deserves the credit. They made some big shots against us and made some stops when they needed to make stops, but we had too many things that were self-imposed that held us back. So it was a little bit of a disappointment. I'm glad it was. I'm glad we're not satisfied with just being. That's not where we are. That's not where we want to be. We're not satisfied with just being close. We want to win basketball games, and it's imperative when you have a chance to win one on the road, to stay involved in a league race, that you win them on the road. And we had an opportunity to get a sweep this weekend. We didn't take advantage of it. It is. That's exactly right. Now Rice and North Texas. I said earlier last week that North Texas I felt was like the most improved team in the league, and they played us well. And we made a couple big plays down the stretch to find a way to win that game, and they turned around Old Dominion beat by 3 the next night. Well, Rice took Old Dominion to overtime. The game before we played them. So both those teams are much improved, and I hope we're improved too. Especially we certainly are from the Old Dominion game, from where we started out. Anything would have been an improvement from that. But we made some strides and did it on the road. But now we have a chance to come home and hopefully gain a little momentum. We got 5 of the next 7 at home, and they're all against the best, what I would say probably the top 5 teams in the league that we have coming in here. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. But these kids aren't running away from anything. Well, they are really both talented offensive teams. Everybody thinks that Marshall sort of sets the standard for scoring in our league, and they have. Since Dan's been there running the offense they run, but then they had 112 scored on them by Western Kentucky this past Saturday. So Western Kentucky scored 2. So it's going to be a big challenge for us defensively, and I think too many times you get caught up in thinking the defense is the only way to stop them. Ball control offense is a way to hold them back too. If you make sure you get the shots you want on the offensive end and you control the ball and make sure you're sort of like football, time of possession is huge in a game like this. And we went back and studied the games against Marshall from last year. And in possessions where we made more than 3 passes, we scored 78% of the time. Possessions where we made 1 or fewer passes, we scored 20% of the time. So we got it. We're not dummies. And we're not analytical geniuses either, but we sort of made our practices so we make sure we're more ball controlled and getting the shots we want to get. And we have opportunities to attack early, we will, but we don't want to take shots in the midterm. We want to try to score early or late with our possessions against them. And then you got guys like John Elmore and Burks. They're both scoring 20 a game. They're really talented offensively. They've got a good lineup. They got a couple of good freshmen. They got a couple. Rondell Watson, who transferred from Wake Forest, is eligible for them now. Has played in 5 games for them. Another guy that can give you 20 on a given night. So they're always a challenge to stop. We were up 14-15 on them in here last year, and they came back and beat us because they can score in bunches. And so we've got to do a great job being consistent with our defense and stretching that over the course of the whole game, not just a 5-minute stretch here and an 8-minute stretch here. Western Kentucky comes in here with a bunch of grown men. And they start 3 fifth-year transfers. Darius Thompson, a point guard transfer from Virginia, whose dad was actually my college roommate. which is a little bit more disappointing as well. And you know, they start Colby inside, transfer from Kansas. They'll start Lamonte Bearden on the wing, or transfer from Buffalo. And then Justin Johnson's still their best guy, and he's fantastic at the 4 spot, really strong. I think I saw where he's going to be one of the 6 players in Western Kentucky history to be in the top, top 20 in scoring and rebounding. He's a talented guy, and they got, I think as good a freshman here in the league in Travion Hollingsworth that starts on the wing too, who can score points. So it was Mr. Kentucky basketball last year. And oh, by the way, they just got an eligible Johnson kid who was top 50 in the country last year, who started playing for him against Marshall. His first game was against Marshall Saturday, and he had 16, by the way. So they come in here with a potent offense as well. With a lot of grown-ups on that team who've played a lot of basketball, so it'll be a big challenge for us. Now we played them well both times last year, but they've added some different pieces, different bodies, and had about a whole new set of uniforms for that team. I think they're excited about sleeping in their own beds for a little while. That's exciting to them, and they get to come back now, and classes have kicked back in, so they're back into their routines, into that. So, but their first practice in here Monday was fantastic, and the great thing about it is that this team, I think, where they are mentally, is that we got back late Saturday and from our road trip, and it's a long day. You play the game, it's a long road trip, flight back, and all that type of stuff. Sunday, our whole team was in the gym on our off day, and they were in here on their own. They came in here individually, they came in here sporadically, 2 or 3 at a time, but every one of them made it into the gym to work on their stuff, and that's encouraging, because there's been times, and there always are times, when guys want to take that day off. These guys don't want to take a day off. Mandatory, we have to, and we do. We follow the rules, get that on there. But they have opportunity. Everything they did on Sunday was completely off. They didn't see me Sunday, but they saw the gym, and to me that was huge. It's exciting. I was on the staff at Appalachian when the first game was played in Halton. I was an assistant coach at Appalachian. I remember it vividly, because they were throwing mud balls at us. The students were, because there wasn't any grass. Everything was just dirt, and they had just opened it that day. Basically, we played the game that night, and students were hitting us with mud balls on the sideline. It was fantastic. I loved it. I'm glad to be on the home bench for this one tonight. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. I know our guys are, and to me, to say it will be just another game would be a lie. Because it is exciting, and our whole staff's fired up for it. We're looking forward to it, but we've maintained our focus to be on the kids. And we're trying to make sure we control them emotionally, so that when they come in here, they're not too excited, which we were at our first game at East Carolina. We were almost too excited to play. And so their first game in here, I'm sure they'll be ramped up and trying to win the game in the first 3 minutes of the game. We can't do that. So they will be emotional. I don't think we'll have a tough time getting them fired up. So we're looking forward to having a big crowd in here, and these guys are anxious for somebody to cheer their name and support them instead of everybody yelling against them, what we've had for the last month or so. So they're excited about it, and I am too. Yeah, we've moved on. I mean, we're a whole new day. It's a whole new day now, and everything is what it is. And we've made that change, and we've moved forward. Our kids have adapted nicely. Like I say, I feel so good about the vibe in our locker room, the vibe on the floor. It hadn't always translated into the best performance, but we'll get that. I think we can work towards that. It's almost harder to get the other stuff than it is to get the performance, because you got to get guys believing in each other, loving each other, and supporting each other. Before they can actually play well together, before they'll play hard for each other. And I think we've got that established now. Now it's just about us, getting Austin playing well, and getting John playing well, and getting Andrew playing well on a given night. All 3 of those guys get rattling together on the same night, then we have a chance to be pretty special. And our supporting cat Najee and Big Jalen and Milos, and I think up and down the bench with Ryan Murphy, Jalen McGill, everybody can step in and give us moments. Bryant Thomas, I'm not afraid to play any of those guys we have sitting over there. And I think they know that, and I think they'll be ready to go when they get the opportunity. So it's going to be fun to see how they do respond. You're asking me a question I don't know the answer of, but I'm predicting they're going to be ready to go. I just think they all need to see the ball go through the net a little bit more consistently. Once they do that, and so much of it's about confidence. And I think Andrew's got his restored a little bit. And they need to see the ball go through a little bit more consistently than 25 or 30% of the time. It needs to go through more than that. And we're not shooting it as well right now. And some of it is, sometimes they try so hard that it becomes too hard. And they try to do too much. And somebody made the comment the other day that even though they're making mistakes to try to win the game. They think they're trying to win the game by doing this, by driving and creating a score, drawing a foul, and it ends up being a turnover, a charge, or a bad decision. But it's one they're doing to try to win the game. And then I think as they continue they know each other, they're familiar with each other. We're not a great passing team. We're not. And that's where we worked on. We're really working on that, sharing the basketball. We're last in the league in conference and assists right now. And some of that's got to do with lack of made shots. But we also are trying to create too many times, maybe a few too many bounces and some things like that we're learning from. But I'm encouraged by the way they come to practice. David, you know, you and I both been around long enough to know that if you continue to chop at it, eventually it'll fall. And I think we're going to continue to do that. Our practices have not dipped off. We've had good practices this week again. So I'm encouraged about getting them back out there. And I know a couple of those guys are disappointed in the way they played at Rice. You know, they are. And it means something to them. You know, there's been times where guys, as long as they get to play 25, 30 minutes and don't play well, they're still okay with it because they got their minutes. These guys are not. You know, and I don't remember as many times I've had people come up and say, "Coach, I let you down tonight. Sorry, I did a bad job tonight." You know, and a lot of times guys don't walk up and apologize for performance. You know, they sort of accept it. They got their minutes. They just didn't play well. They'll get it back the next time. But it means something to them, and that's encouraging.